Welcome to Shardcast, the Brandon Sanderson podcast. We're a bunch of mega fans giving you the news, discussion, and of course, a whole lot of opinions about Brandon's works and the Cosmere. I'm Eric, and joining me is Alyx.
Hello, I'm Feather, or FeatherWriter.
Also joining me on the asphalt is Shannon. Bringing it back.
Hi there, I'm Gray.
Inescapable.
Like asphalt.
You know what? Leave me alone about Asheville.
Lastly, joining me is Joshua.
Hey everybody, I'm jofwu.
God, that is...
jofwu.
Call me Woo.
still-
I really don't.
jofwu.
I still can't.
Call me Woo. It's fine.
jofwu.
Can I just call you Woo?
How we all learned
I've
that
been
it's
really-
actually
just Woo?
jofwu.
I've been really fond of the Joff. That's
Joff is
Joff?
good.
That's
Joff
Joff?
is good.
Yeah, that's good. This week, guys, we're going to continue talking about Dalinar and his family unit. Whoa, we blab a lot about these things. Who would have thought? Who would have thought?
Dalinar's the best.
No.
No!
again.
But he kind of is. So let's talk about the other fatherly relationship. Dalinar and Adolin and Renarin. And so, all right, we're going to be here for the next 2 hours. So, all right.
I feel like me and Alex are staring at each other, like wondering, like, who wants to go first, Renarin or Adolin?
Yeah, you two get a room. No.
This is our room. You all are trapped. The doors are locked.
Oh, no.
Welcome to the lecture.
I can remove you from the call.
We're talking about the two Kholin boys. That's what this is.
Oh, no.
That's what this is now.
Oh, no.
Alex.
The Adolin haters are going to come out.
I mean, the eldest son, I feel like, should go first.
Let's start with Adolin.
Start with
Okay.
Adolin.
Let's go.
I really loved this relationship right from the start. Way of Kings.
Adolin and Dalinar.
Adolin and Dalinar. It was so good. There are so many father-son relationships in media where I just don't relate. Like, I think this is overdone. Like, there's just too much of the weird male themes about like it's all about like masculinity, and it is in a sense here, but like Dalinar and Adolin like really make an effort to like love and trust each other. Adolin has a brief period of like not knowing what Dalinar's visions are all about, thinking his dad is like maybe a little off, but you know he does make a choice to be like, you know what, my dad might be insane, but you know, I still trust him. His instincts seem like on point to me. And there's like the one point at the end, which is like one of my funniest exchanges in maybe all of Way of Kings, is when they've been betrayed by Sidious.
Yes.
They're fighting on.
Yes.
They're fighting on that. They're fighting on that one
told you he was
plateau.
an eel.
I told
I
you,
know.
Dad. I told
I know.
you about. I know, Adolin. I told you.
It's a great scene.
It's every single time I read that, I just burst out laughing because it's such like the son telling the father, "I told you so," and like the dad is just like, "Oh my God, yes, you were right. Let's get back to it."
Yeah, but it's not like there's like malice from
No.
Adolin to
No,
that's the
Dalinar,
opposite.
but it's just like, dude, I told you so.
I saw.
Can we
coming,
just
I
say
called
for the
it.
record,
Yeah.
I told you so.
We're gonna die. We're gonna die in the next 5 minutes. But let me say before we go, I was
That
right.
I definitely told you so.
I will say, coming off of our talk about like flashback Dalinar and the way that he's changed.
Yeah.
One of the things that, you know, I really had to think about was, I feel like Dalinar in the flashbacks was really not the greatest dad in a lot of ways, because he was really distant and kind of violent, and not towards his sons, but like in general.
We kind of have 4 relationships here when we're talking about it. We're talking about Dalinar post-cultivation and Adolin.
Yeah.
Dalinar post-cultivation and Renarin, and then before that. And so maybe we should treat it that way here, right?
But part of what helped me like bridge that transition was I was like, he was such like a distant alcoholic dad who really didn't give them any kind of emotional support. And like Evie was there for her sons.
Evie was the bridge.
Partially, but I thought that, you know, there was this period of time between her death and when he went to go see cultivation, where he was their only parent. And the fact that they have such a close and loving relationship after the break, it was difficult to come to terms with. But I feel like part of that was actually Alethi society helped bridge it a little bit, because I don't think Adolin and Renarin necessarily ever saw their dad as a bad person. Because
I agree.
Alethi culture was so much telling him, your dad is the Blackthorn. He's the epitome of Alethi masculinity. He's the greatest person to live in our country today. And
That's true.
I don't think they necessarily expected, emotional warmth and, closeness with their father when they were younger. Like, they didn't necessarily realize that was something they could have had. And so as they're coming into their adult years, and he's starting to do that.
I feel like his alcoholic phase was not the boys looking at Dalinar like he was failing, but like as a man who needs support, because that's what their other family members were telling them about. They're like, oh, well, it's because mom died.
He just loved her so much.
He just loved her so much. It was sort of like, to them, it wasn't a sign that Dalinar was a bad father. It was a sign that their dad was hurting. So I feel like that to me was sort of like why I can say they got through those years. Like in Adolin talks, he has this vibe in Way of Kings, like when he's thinking back on the relationship and what it is now. He's like, he really, the Shattered Plains was kind of his first real chance to fight along his dad as the Blackthorn.
Yeah.
That was so exciting to him.
Absolutely.
And now his dad is a different person. So like every time Dalinar like gets a little fired up, Adolin just like jumps. He's like, yes, this is gonna be great. This is gonna be great. And he has no idea that would actually be such a terrible thing, because his opinion of Dalinar, first introduced by his mother, then Alethi society, he's always loved his dad. I totally agree. There's nothing in Alethi culture or from his mom that would have given him the wrong idea.
Yeah, like being a warmonger is good. So it's like, your dad's great.
For the Alethi, it's great. The Alethi love a warmonger.
I feel like if we didn't change anything about their relationships, but like Dalinar was a dad in Earth modern society and Adolin and Renarin was their sons, they would have a totally different opinion of how good of a parent he was, outside of this context of Alethi culture saying, no, he's great, he's doing perfect, and you should learn from him. This is what you're supposed to be. I feel like outside of that cultural context, Dalinar's parenting would have been seen in a totally different light by his sons.
It's very interesting what you just said, Shannon, because with Adolin just being really excited when Dalinar is fighting, in Way of Kings, that really makes a lot of sense, that Adolin gets frustrated that Dalinar isn't more active in the fight.
Yeah, he's he's idolized this idea of like who he's been told his dad is.
I think I like that more now.
Yeah, because
just thinking about that.
Up until like what, Adolin was 12, if I'm remembering, something like that, when young child years, like Dalinar was out fighting, so he didn't get like his young childhood with Dalinar. And then as a teen, it was the alcoholic depression, so it's sort of like we as readers don't really understand like how recent their good relationship actually started. Like as two adults. Yeah. It started on the Shattered Plains after cultivation, after Way of Kings, and like, him getting that book. It's sort of like, and we don't even realize like how recent that is. Like because it's hidden by like their point of view. They don't talk about it. Dalinar doesn't quite remember, and he doesn't exactly want to remember. He says things like, oh, I could have been a better father, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. And Adolin obviously isn't thinking about all the bad things his dad did, because he idolizes him so much. So like it really masks that this is like their good relationship as two fellow adults, like started at the Shattered Plains, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
And Renarin too.
I love it.
I do too.
I think it's interesting how it probably the kids being away from Dalinar's
Wars.
wars
Fighting.
really helps because
Well,
almost seeing him less at that stage is almost a little better because they can just say, "Oh yeah, no, your dad's great. You just
hear
need
the
to be over here,
stories. Yeah.
you know,
He's
to hear the
winning.
stories and it's
He's-
better."
he's
yeah, he's
winning.
winning. It's
He
great.
did great.
He's beating the Vedans. Yeah, all of that.
What a
Adolin
good
did spend a
dad.
few years with his dad when they were out fighting the Vedans, I believe.
Yeah, but that's
yeah.
But again,
it
it's
wasn't,
like
it wasn't the rift, and it wasn't like the fellow princedoms. I
Right.
feel like it was almost like more distant for Dalinar.
Mhm.
Like he doesn't bring Adolin out into the field. He brings him to like behind the scenes, like the general talk, like the
Right,
let's
sure.
let's look at the
Yeah.
let's look at the battle map. And so that even like Dalinar in that room is different from Dalinar on the field
Mhm.
for sure.
Definitely.
Well, and you can tell that Adolin's able to the way when they're fighting the Parshindi on the Shattered Plains, like he doesn't see anything morally wrong with that, And obviously that is traced back to the fact that they killed Gavilar as he sees
Yeah.
it, But
Yeah.
Mhm.
it's still like he has this sense of of war and being able to look at the enemy as they are the enemy, And I think that's whether they're the singers or other humans or whatever. I think that's kind of instilled in him by Alethi society
Yeah.
as well. So
Yeah.
And I have kind of this idea of Adolin and Dalinar's relationship that started to change at the end of Oathbringer, and it took a while for it to sink in. So my thing is that a lot of the tension throughout all three books so far is that Adolin is always being primed to take over for Dalinar. Like that's
Yes.
a plot thread, and I think Way of Kings, I don't remember if it comes up in Words of Radiance. Yes, it does. And it comes up in Oathbringer. So there's always this element of Adolin is being asked to get ready to take over for his dad.
And he doesn't want to.
Yeah, whatever his reaction to it, that's what's happening. And so my thinking was sort of like that Adolin and Dalinar are kind of tied together as characters. Dalinar's obviously has more gravity. He's the more important character, but I always kind of saw it as like whatever Dalinar does, Adolin is a reaction. An echo, or maybe goes in the other direction, but his character is tied to Dalinar's.
Mhm.
And but that kind of started to change because for one of the main things is that he, for a long time that we saw from his point of view, he barely thinks his dad can do wrong. Brief periods, maybe my dad is crazy. Oh no, he's fine. But and then it's only when he, at the end of Oathbringer, I feel like he starts to ever disagree with his dad about something. He's like, "Hey dad, I don't want to do this." And that's kind of like the first time that we see him make a statement, make a choice that actually isn't tied to Dalinar.
I definitely want to talk about that, but your talk with Adolin and Dalinar tied together comes right from how Brandon made Adolin a point of view character.
Yeah.
It was literally, he originally put all those thoughts of, am I insane? No, I'm not, in Dalinar, and Dalinar seemed wishy-washy, so he made Adolin do that instead. And so, yeah, they were tied together from the very beginning with the onset. That was the creation. I mean, Adolin existed, but that's why Adolin grew into his own, because he needed to be a character.
Yeah.
But your point with, at the end of Oathbringer, they're starting to disagree. Yeah, I killed Sadius. Hey, what's up?
Yeah.
We're on the cusp of Adolin still doesn't know what his dad did, and that's hanging over it. And we know that
I guess
now.
that's true.
Yeah, that's true.
Nothing's come of it. And we don't know, are their characters going to keep diverging, or will they keep going together? It just seems like to a degree that no other character that of Adolin's spotlight, I feel like whatever happens to Dalinar is going to reflect in Adolin. I feel like there was a point I was so convinced that Dalinar was going to die, because because of Adolin. It's sort of like Adolin can't grow, he's not going to get more screen time unless something happens to Dalinar.
Yeah.
In my
Some,
that,
like, mentor
opinion.
job hazard. The mentor,
Kinda like
the mentor always
Shalon
has to
Yasna.
die. Yeah,
Shalon can't grow until Yasna leaves.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
that same
And
kind of
that's-
thing.
Except in this case, it's sort of like I don't necessarily believe that Brandon is going to give Adolin more screen time, as we say, or more internal life, if that makes sense. But I always thought, like, if he does decide to do that, to like grow Adolin into like as much focus as Dalinar, Kaladin, and Shalon have, that it would be because of Dalinar.
hmm
I would be really interested to see how Dalinar and Adolin's relationship evolves, because I feel like there's so many different ways that can evolve post Oathbringer.
I feel like back to the whole Roshar anthropology thing, I think Adolin and Shalon are going to be able to do more of that like evolved foreign marriage thing, because they already started
That's
with
true.
Shalon
The
has a
blades.
shard blade and she
Yeah.
should learn how to fight. And now Adolin's dad is learning to read and his brother knows how to read, and it's like things are
Now we just need to give
breaking down.
Navani a shard blade, and then we're good.
Hey.
Dalinar trained Navani.
That's
Easy.
what we got to do.
No, I really like
yeah.
that.
But no, you're totally right there. And
I think they
it's
can do kind of a next generation thing, growing it from
Yeah.
the start.
it'll be interesting to see. Remember how I just said, oh yeah, just like Shalon needed Yasna to go away. Well, Yasna's back, and Dalinar is still there too, so I'm really interested to see how both of those characters change when their kind of mentor figures are there in Eritharu.
I do like it because it is a trope that I've always kind of been disappointed by. Is that
with mentors dying?
is that the mentor has to die in order for the person to grow, but that's not reflective of like real actual life. It's
No.
that's only a fictional truth. It's like
Very
and it's
convenient storytelling.
very convenient. Like it forces the character to be more proactive. But I always like thought that was like I never liked it because it's sort of like really there's no other motivation or reason like a character could grow to be more proactive and to their own. Like I want to see what happens if the mentor does live.
I think we're going to start to see some of that with Shalon. I think we already have in terms of, Yasna's back. Do we just resume the same mentor-ward relationship? And
Yeah.
immediately she's like, I can't do this. I'm going to Kholinar. Bye. I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
Can't handle
Thank
Yasna
God, because
right
that
now.
was really insufferable with little Shalon
Oh, it
and
was.
Yasna.
Yeah.
That was
God.
that was irritating.
Yeah.
Thank God.
To be
so-
honest, yeah.
One thing that I think we really have to talk about with Dalinar and Adolin, well, there's two things.
Mhm.
One is Adolin's murder of Sadeas.
Uh-huh.
And then on the other hand, what we were talking about before is the truth about Dalinar and Evie and how that all went down. I
Okay.
think that at the end of Oathbringer, both of those things are made clear to each other, right? I mean, Adolin
Yes.
confesses, and Dalinar has written Oathbringer. So
Oh, I guess that's true.
Oh,
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I didn't think about that either. Yeah,
so
right,
they know
right.
each other's dirty
or
laundry.
they're going to know. I don't think Oathbringer was distributed, or I think like only Navani
Adolin will
has.
get it eventually, and it will be
Yeah.
read to him.
I mean,
Yeah,
by the
sure.
time we pick
I'm
up
just
with
saying,
him
like-
in Stormlight 4, I think he will have.
Yeah.
He
That's
will know.
totally- I didn't even think about that. You're so right.
I didn't think about it
So-
either.
So I'm wondering what that means for their relationship now that they kind of see this other side of one another. Like, do they look past that? Is their history strong enough where it's kind of like, okay, whatever, like let's move on, or is that going to change something?
Having them both know each other's dirty laundry probably is going to make their relationship stronger rather than have them grow apart.
That's what I hope.
That's what I would think.
That's
Well,
what
that's what I would think. It's like, we've both done terrible things.
Yeah, but it's Adolin's
You know.
mom.
Well, one of the things
Well,
is...
but like the context, there's Dalinar learning about Adolin killing Sadeas.
Sure.
I feel like that will eventually get pretty easy for Dalinar to rationalize, like, well, Sadeas was terrible, and this caused some problems, but I'm not really gonna, like, fault you for that.
Right.
Probably, I don't know. Dalinar will probably not be comfortable with it, but it's like, I understand you, Adolin. Like, I can understand that perspective, even though I do not agree with that, right?
What
Yeah.
did Savarial say? That's one problem solved. Something like
Yeah,
that.
right.
Polona.
Like, as far as,
Polona.
Polona,
you know,
thank you.
whatever.
Everyone in the universe
Yeah,
except
literally everyone was
for
like,
the Sadius
cool.
camp. Cool, great.
Yeah.
They're gone. Or he's
Pretty
gone.
much.
Super.
Now, with Adolin learning about Dalinar killing Evie, that's a lot more interesting of a relationship and how that will change things. Because Dalinar learning about Sadius, like,
Small potato.
that doesn't need a long process time. I think Adolin learning about his mom's death
Should
more
get page
so.
time.
I have
Yeah.
a thought that I feel like it's definitely going to be difficult for Adolin, but I think Adolin is going to have an easier time coming to terms with it. One, because I can guess that the way that Dalinar is writing Oathbringer, you know, my glory and my shame, is definitely, I ruined this aspect of my life. This was a horrible decision. It led to the death of my wife. You know, I didn't intend for it to. And I also think they as a society are now more aware of like what the thrill is, as, you know, the influence of this unmade. And Adolin
That's true.
has felt the thrill. I assume. I mean, I don't know that he's
Yes.
talking
No, he
about-
has.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
it
has. But
it
he's
becomes
a
a
Lethe
note.
warrior.
It becomes a note that he doesn't feel it anymore at the end of
Yeah.
Words of Radiance. So
And I think, you know, he's going to be upset about it, but there's going to be that part of him that, you know, he's been in the throes of the thrill, and, you know, he won't necessarily sympathize, but it's something that's more understandable.
It's
I feel like
it's easier to
Renarin-
understand
Yeah.
when he's just coming out as like, that was awful.
Yeah,
Straight.
I think Renarin is going to have a much, much harder time with it than Adolin will.
Yeah, that's true.
So I don't think Renarin has necessarily ever been in battle to the point where he would feel the thrill. So that's not something he's going to be able to necessarily empathize with, I don't think.
do we think that Renarin might know already?
He might. That seems to kind of be his truth
Would not
watchery
surprise
thing,
me.
is
Because
knowing
that's
secret.
He sees things.
I kind of would not. I would not be surprised if we find out that Renarin has known for a little while, with his
That's interesting.
truth knowing powers.
How I think he'd have to
They
get
can
it from
ask
someone.
Navani or someone. They don't. They could always have asked.
Well,
the
nobody knew it for a while. Aside from
I
like
guess.
Dalinar's sworn
Oh, yeah, I
elites,
guess.
everyone else thought that Evie had been kidnapped and killed.
Oh, right.
and
Yeah,
I think
no, you're
maybe
right, you're right, you're right.
Renarin's, you know, truth sense power, if he does have one, which I kind of think he does, might not have worked on Dalinar because Dalinar didn't know. He couldn't have like sussed out Dalinar's
Oh.
secret because Dalinar
Right,
didn't
right.
know it. But I think with Oathbringer, that's gonna change things.
Fair
And
enough. Fair enough.
That's gonna be very intense. So I think Renarin was probably most close to their mom.
Well, I feel like both were really, really influenced by Evie. I mean, like I can
Yeah.
totally buy that Renarin was closer to Evie, but I feel like
Yeah.
both of them were quite, like they were both raised by Evie.
I think it might be that Adolin also had a connection to his dad in this idea of wanting to live up to being the warrior and idolizing him.
Yeah,
I feel
yeah.
like Renarin probably had less of that, and
Mhm.
more
Absolutely.
Evie was sort of the only influence for him. And you know, he was the one who was burning her incense after she died, and
Right.
he was like holding on to his mom.
That's true. I do feel like Renarin has the same idolization of his dad. It's just that Adolin was good at the masculine stuff and Renarin wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I feel
Right.
like if he had been better at that kind of thing, they probably would have been a lot more similar.
Yeah,
In
definitely.
that. Like even if Renarin didn't get to spend as much time with him, for example.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of that comes down to like Dalinar is the masculine ideal of Alethi culture. Adolin is good at that kind of stuff. Renarin,
Well, that's why he wants to join Bridge 4, right? Because he is trying to live up to that. I guess what he sees as those expectations. Like I want my dad to be proud of me, and he kind of has to learn that that's not the way to do it. But
Yeah.
well, he thinks that that's all that Dalinar values. I think
Right.
I think both Adolin and Renarin, it don't again from like I only see this happening at the Shattered Plains. Is that's the first time they understand maybe or like get to see that Dalinar doesn't only value that anymore.
Yeah.
Is that this might be like the first time they're seeing in their dad that he would be a lot more open to supporting them no matter what they choose. Maybe they never had that idea before.
I will also say that I feel like the decision to join Bridge 4 is a lot of it is not necessarily Renarin wanting to hear from his dad that he's, valuable. I think a lot of it is very internalized of Renarin wants to personally feel that he's living up to his own ideals of being able to be masculine enough.
Right.
Some,
I do
some of that.
I definitely agree with that, but I also think like also kind of like maybe unconsciously is that his dad is like representative of
Yeah.
Like when he does get Dalinar's approval for doing like the scholarly thing, like
Oh, yeah,
when
it's
when
huge.
Dalinar shows up, it's sort of like yeah, that's like Renarin has his own internal idea, but like when his dad gets to like show up and say like yeah, this is great. He looks up, he smiles. He like it's such a paradigm
He wants to
shift.
make Dalinar proud.
Such a paradigm shift. Yeah, and it's sort of like, well, if my dad, the super masculine guy, likes this or can approve of this, then it's fine.
Yeah, that's the soul of their relation, or Renarin's relationship with Dalinar.
Yeah.
Renarin wants to make Dalinar proud and doesn't know how.
Yeah.
Because he's not good at the masculine stuff.
He holds himself to this, high standard of I'm the High Prince's son. I should be a son that a High Prince can be proud of. And, I think in Oathbringer, we're finally seeing Renarin sort of stepping out and moving a little more toward the things he's naturally gifted in and being
Yes.
encouraged that way by Bridge 4 and then also by his father, which really like shows so much of Evie was struggling so much and Dalinar didn't help her at all. And now he's recognizing Renarin's struggles and stepping in to kind of be
Yeah.
that defense and be that buffer and tell him it's okay to explore these different sides of himself.
I love that. And it's sort of like, it kind of like opens the door. It's sort of by the time we get to where we are with Oathbringer, it almost feels like Dalinar has almost a warmer relationship with Renarin. Maybe, just I'm sussing this out as I talk, which is not a great way to do things.
Don't worry, I have
I'm
thoughts.
listening.
You're listening. I think Dalinar and Adolin do have a really good relationship, but also they have that constant pressure, like I said before, of Adolin always being primed by Dalinar to take over. Whereas
Right.
Renarin does not have that pressure. It's sort of like Dalinar can almost be more free to just be his dad.
I feel like as we're seeing in Way of Kings, and it's another one of those things that's really recontextualized by the later books as we find out more about the history and stuff.
Yeah.
But while Dalinar is very loving toward Renarin in early Way of Kings, he's not supporting Renarin in the way that Renarin needs.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I think one of the earliest things we get is Hoyd actually like really calls him out on this of, basically you're overprotective of Renarin. He feels stifled. He needs to be helping in some way or, putting him back with the women and the children and treating him like this total invalid is not what he needs, even though you're trying to be loving and say, oh, you don't have to be a warrior. You don't have to be the martial son who knows how to do that. And it's like, just telling him he doesn't need to be good at it doesn't help him. That's not what he's struggling with.
He's attempting to be loving, but he needs practical tips.
Yes.
Yeah, well, Dalinar doesn't have a lot of advice on parenting these days with Kavalar Rip and Evie Rip. So like it's a little rough. But even Dalinar, once he has that conversation with Hoid, like later, Dalinar's like, okay, well, we need to stop stifling Renarin. Let's give him a shard blade. Yeah. Great plan.
Which Renarin wants. Renarin wants to learn how to fight.
Except it screams now, and
no. But like,
just my son.
It was exactly what Hoid said. It's what Renarin wanted. He wanted to step up, and yet, for reasons that none of them could possibly predict, it didn't go great.
Well, Hoid could predict.
Sure.
Hoid definitely knows.
Well, sure. Is Hoid going to say, by the way, if you do X thing, if you give this a thing, Renarin's going to hear screaming in his head because he's a blossoming Knight Radiant. No.
But like, Hoid definitely knows that that he knows.
Yeah.
I love that after having 2 books of watching Renarin really struggle with his place in life. And, joining Bridge 4 was kind of the first step in getting to a place where he's better about himself. But like really watching him come into his own in Oathbringer, culminating with that Yasna scene where she's like, you're a Radiant. You can do this. You were chosen by the Almighty to save mankind. All of this that's Adolin earlier on. I'm sorry, I misquoted. I was like, wait a second. Yasna wouldn't say anything about the Almighty. Shenathius. But just this like triumphant, like, you can do this. You can stare down the Thunderclast. You can fight and like do all of this stuff. And it's just really, it's a great arc to see all of these people in Renarin's life learning how to support him in the way he needs, and him getting the confidence to become a person that's really skilled and good at things that can really be an asset to them.
I'm thrilled that Renarin is not just going to be a Windrunner. And he's going to be the leader, basically the leader of the Truth Watchers. How exciting is that to think about? Renarin like growing and coming to terms with that. That's really interesting.
Well, first he does have to come to terms with it, because what if the Truth Watchers that come after aren't corrupted?
Yeah, I was going to say,
there's a lot of things he has to come to terms with.
We gotta, what if the next one comes along and the second Truth Watcher has a perfectly fine truth spren?
Oh man.
But I think he's definitely in a place where he is going to be better at standing up for himself in those situations.
Yes.
In terms, I think before, a lot of times he would really just hide away. If somebody said something bad about him, he'd just internalize it as true. And I think now we're seeing he's a little more ready to push back and question. And, I have corrupted friend, but I'm not a bad person. I'm not corrupted.
He had that reaction like at the end of Oathbringer. And it was amazing. He was like, in the fight, people are like looking at him, but it's not like bad staring. He's just like, yes, it's me, guys. This is Renarin.
Nobody's saying you can't do that. That's not for you, Renarin. Like that whole little passage, like I was just crying.
It was such a good passage. It was just, I love seeing Renarin finally say that. Like, it's been so long. I've been, it's like we're just waiting for him to stand up on his own, and here he is. Yes, this is for you.
How can anyone not be excited to see Renarin be totally badass in the back half?
It's
Renarin
so
and Lift. As long as they're still alive, we're gonna have some real fun times. Like Renarin full Radiant, just being awesome.
Oh man.
Can I talk about? Yeah, it's good. It's good. Yasna and Renarin again for a second.
Yeah.
Is that like, I'm trying to think, like, the battle at the end happens. Renarin gets in there after Yasna decides not to kill him.
Yes.
Right.
They go together for
they go together to the fight. Mm-hmm. And I have to think that some of his confidence in that also came from Yasna deciding that even though he has a corrupted spren, even though it's wrong, he's like a wrong Knight Radiant, that he's still worth it. Yeah. Because like so much of his internalized self-hatred,
Doubt.
What's the word?
Doubt.
Self-doubt.
Doubt
Thank
is
you.
good. Mhm.
Like also does come from the fact that like he seems to be a wrong kind of Knight Radiant. It's bad. He has his sprint is corrupted. How can he possibly be like what he needs to be as a knight? And and then there's Yasna saying it doesn't even matter. Someone knows the truth finally. Finally someone knows the truth, and she's still like, yeah, we still got this. Don't worry.
We're gonna figure it out together.
We're gonna figure it out. I feel like that is like the emotional point at which Renarin went into that. Maybe there is something wrong with me. But maybe you know what? No matter what, I'm fine. This is me, and I have to think like that was part of his newfound confidence.
I'll say on top of that, even going beyond just like worrying what people would do if they found out about Gliss.
Exactly.
Of his visions explicitly telling him, when Yasna finds out, she will kill you. And like him becoming resigned to that of that's what's going to happen. I think he gets to that point where he's like, it should happen. My sprint is corrupted. I'm useless anyway. She should just kill me and it'll be better for everyone. I really think that's where he was. And he turns and he nods at her in that scene of like, okay, do it. I'm ready. I've seen it. This is how it has to be. And to have, Yasna say, no, this is wrong. You're coming with me and we're going to be awesome is just so powerful.
Good.
Oh,
good.
We're now free to actually get Renarin points of view, Alex.
I know the secret has been unveiled.
The secret's out. And now we can have Renarin points of view.
I knew it. I called so many things. I knew it from the start.
You were so right. You were so vindicated.
You called it post-words of radiance.
Reading. I had a fic about Renarin reading in like 2010. Like the first book was barely out and I was like, Renarin secretly knows how to read. Guess what? Yeah. Yes. Don't question me.
You did.
He and Dalinar can hang out and read books together.
Exactly.
Now they can. Yeah.
To be perfectly honest, that would be amazing father-son bonding, Kai.
No.
That would be really sweet. I hope we can get a scene of that.
I hope so. I want to see them,
if
assuming that like Renarin doesn't totally, destruct the relationship between himself and Dalinar. I would love to see more of them being all, loving and supportive.
We just now get the ability for Renarin to really change. The secret's out. We can have points of view. We can get bigger arcs. But the biggest arc for Renarin is yet to come.
That's true. There's so much more to come.
Because if you guys didn't know, Renarin is a back half main character. What would his flashbacks even be? That's just like crazy to think about, right?
How long has he had Gliss?
Probably answers with Gliss, right? But like, just seeing Oathbringer with its beautiful ending with its flashbacks marrying to what the story means.
I'm going to perish. I will die on the spot. Okay, it doesn't even matter what that book is about. It will just have so much Renarin. But like,
I'll be sure to every 15 minutes to give you to message you to make sure you're okay.
By then they'll have like Fitbits that can text your friends if your heart stops. They're at a heart attack. Call an EMT. So the other probably one of the like best and most supportive relationships for Renarin, like the healthiest throughout all of the books. Adolin.
And I think vice versa.
They're
totally
great for each other.
Adolin doesn't have strong relationships or friendships outside of his family. True. Neither does Renarin. Yeah. Like I said at the beginning, like their family seems like kind of like an outsider view of like their own society. Mm-hmm. And something about Adolin and Renarin, I get the sense that siblings aren't usually this close, or at least not in the way that Adolin and Renarin are.
Same way, yeah.
I always got that sense. I can't point to a line in the text, but just something about it.
Can we just talk about how that one scene in part 1 where Renarin and Adolin just hang out is just like really great, and Renarin heals Adolin. Oh, what a great short scene.
That whole understanding too of Adolin is never off-put when Renarin seems to think in a way that's not straightforward. Adolin's just like, oh, he had thoughts that were, in between that. His mind just moved too fast for his mouth to keep up, where other people might be like, wow, he's so weird. That just came out of nowhere. And
Adolin's so empathetic.
So good at this. And I feel like one of the best things that Brandon does is establishing character traits really early, even from the very start of Way of Kings. Beginning of part 2, as soon as they're in, we get this whole scene of Adolin's like, other people think my brother's weird, but I think he's great and I've never sensed anything weird about him. And
yeah,
we get like Sadeas insulting Dalinar, and Adolin's ready to fight. Pull the shard blade out. I'm going. And Renarin's kind of there as he holds him back. He puts the hand on his arm. He keeps him in check. And then Sadeas insults Renarin, and it's like, okay, but now it's really on. Nobody goes after my brother.
Well, and that's like an interesting trait I think that they both share for different reasons. Renarin has his truthy powers, helping him out.
Stephen Colbert, truthiness.
that's why that I was like, that's why that word tickled in my mind. But just that, like, both of them, unlike the other side of the family, do seem to be really good at understanding other people. Adolin just seems like a
Thanks, Evie.
Thanks, Evie. Adolin just seems like a great judge of character. He's like you said,
good at it.
He's really empathetic. And when there's someone he's close to, he works to understand them. He seems less good at that with women, but
a little bit.
Well,
just understatement, but yeah.
Admittedly, he also thought Yakimov was a good person, and Yakimov's a jerk. So maybe some bad taste in casual friends.
Close. What was that? What was your
casual friend?
Adolin.
Okay. Well, Adolin's very empathetic, which can make him easy to manipulate in a way, right?
I can see that, like, especially like because so many of the Alethi have the pretense of friendship. I like, by the way I think of it, I don't even think like Alethi have real friendships like the way we even think of it, because
I don't think so either.
When you get to not all Alethi, when you get to like the prince level of
the upper court, it's just
it's your family, it's your princedom versus theirs.
Well, and like in that context, Yakimov probably would have been a good friend if the Kholins had stayed in fashion, quote unquote, as he put it.
Well, like that's the thing, like that, like it's all politics. You can clearly see he wants a real relationship. He wants real friendships.
Yeah.
And yet, like the number of people who actually get there is like his family and the other two main viewpoint characters, Kaladin and Shallan.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, I think that is a thing about Alethi society, because I think if Adolin was a girl, all right,
sure, let's go.
But like Alethi women have their different contests, right? And they're very catty, like they're different competitions, and I don't think that would be any different. I don't think at that level that they have really deep friendships. They will backstab you if they can advance their goals. That's just how it'll be, and they'll be cheered for doing it.
I feel like that might be why Adolin doesn't do very well with Alethi women, because many of them are that kind of, they're just trained to be kind of this manipulative, duplicitous,
they're not like,
to get ahead. And
they're not like his mom.
Yeah,
they're not kind.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
and they're not kind. They seem to get by in like Alethi society the way his mom didn't. I'm sure Adolin must have seen something of that. Just like the way he must have been able to see his mom didn't quite fit in.
I'm sure, yeah. But I think maybe that's why Shallan is really one of the first like women of his sort of rank that he's been able to connect with, because she's not Alethi. She's not really intertwined in their courts, and now as a Knight Radiant, she's almost like fully exempt from politics. In the way that other. Yeah.
I was thinking the same thing, that she wasn't even really raised like most of the other women that Adolin is probably hanging out with. She had a very different childhood, and so
she's
a little bit coming from a different place. And I guess she acts very different in every way, really. So that's kind of interesting, I guess, play in how their relationship is different than whatever else he's used to.
Yeah.
No,
Very
I really
true.
like that. I hadn't thought about that before, but I like that.
hadn't really either.
She's even different than normal Veden women, really.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if Adolin courted a more typical Veden woman.
I
but
doubt it. I don't think.
I doubt
don't
it too,
think they.
because
I don't think
he's
they got
too
out.
high rank Alethi.
I don't think they
Right.
got out to Kholinar or the Shattered Plains. So
Well, yeah, but even still, they're Alethi. You know?
Yeah.
Booth and Leather Alethi.
I think we do have to say that Shallan is very manipulative. Like that's something that's
Yes.
that's not necessarily. I don't want to like pretend like, oh well, they're all manipulative and she's totally not like that. That's not true at all.
Yeah.
no, I
but-
just feel
yeah.
like she's not like that to Adolin or his family. Like she's also Adolin. Also, I feel like this is his empathy. He always kind of has a good sense on what Shallan is actually about, and
Thanks for those dislikes, Shannon.
I know,
Oh,
sorry.
great, thanks.
but Shallan,
I'm with you. I back you up.
but he's right. Shallan doesn't turn on the Kholins. She does ally with them. She does treat them as like on her own side. She might be like, I totally agree. She is a manipulative person, but she's also not aligned against the Kholins in the way that the other. I feel like it's not so much of a worry that she would play politics. She has her own. She has her own use, her own reasons for being manipulative, but they aren't to undermine the Kholins and embarrass him in front of the kingdom.
She's
Right.
She's really not trying to like get ahead or use his status to inflate her own,
Yeah.
which I'm guessing a lot
That's
of
true.
his other romantic
That is
partners
true.
probably were.
Yeah, it's Shallan's doing her own thing.
Yeah, she's
And-
she's got her own stuff going on, but yeah, it's definitely not that same kind of, it's kind of all just a game and I'm going to use you to get ahead sort of transactional relationship that I feel like
right,
Adolin,
no like deep, real loving relationship, maybe. Yeah.
He's used to love. He wants there to be love, and he had to keep himself at arm's length to avoid getting played.
Final thoughts, guys.
Renarin's the best and everyone should love him.
Okay, well, that was. I would say that was surprising yet inevitable, but it was not surprising in any way.
It was inevitable.
It wasn't definitely inevitable, but
Always
not
is.
surprising in any way.
Yeah, I love this family unit a lot. Both, Evie and Navani versions of it. I think they are this family unit being on both at the top of Alethi society and are like a prime position to change it. These people are different from other Alethi. I'm putting that on Evie, sorry. Oh my god.
Evie's a great but different name.
It is a different name. Sorry, that just came out without me even thinking about it. But
I love the name Evie.
and I just really think that it's so sad that their family relationship is so different, because I think like they have a lot of things going really right now.
Mhm.
Is that they love each other, they really trust each other and support each other. I think it's going to be really tested when
Oh,
really tested when Oathbringer gets published, and maybe we see after a year the fallout. But going into it, I'm really hopeful. I think they're great.
they're tested with. It's a good thing they're close, because the end of the world is right here. So good
Yes.
thing.
Yep.
It's really interesting, I think, to see the contrast between Dalinar's side of the family and Gavilar's side of the family.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I've ever really quite maybe sat through and thought through all those different relationships and what that looks like. But there's so much contrast there, and I guess so much of it goes back to Evie. I don't know. I'm not sure where all those differences come from, but it's exciting to see that contrast, and I'm excited to see where it goes next, because there's a lot of potential for, I don't know, just to see it keep evolving in really exciting ways.
I feel like the difference is Gavilar's more analytical, and even Navani's quite analytical, right? But Dalinar is, emotion, like even in his early stuff, emotion, strength, power. It's not like an analytical sort of set. It's like this raw emotional thing. And Evie's emotional just
A different way.
in like
yeah.
an empathetic way, right? And seeing that Dalinar had to learn to analyze these things, that's how he needed to grow in many ways, right? And so that feels quite different.
You know, like that, like, no, I really like that about like Evie is like really emotional and empathetic, and she raised two emotional, empathetic kids. I totally forgot about this, but Dalinar is always looking at Adolin and thinking, this son of mine, he's a better man than I am, which is
right.
Which is part of why
for you he's wrong.
Well,
That's
unfortunately, because of the murder that did happen, I still don't think I don't think he's wrong, but
I don't think he's wrong either.
Yeah, but Dalinar looks at him and he prizes that in his sons. You know, he doesn't think, you know, like the way we were talking about how he was like embarrassed by Evie and thinking that she was doing it, that she was doing it all wrong. He doesn't feel that way about his sons and the different way that they approach Alethi culture at all. He thinks it's great. He loves them.
That's very true.
Well, he's also a different person now, right? Because I mean, he was very embarrassed by Renarin, right? So
once upon a time,
Yep.
but now he isn't.
That's a great point, though.
Yeah, every time we talk about how great they are, think it's, you know that it's after cultivation we're talking about.
Yeah,
Post cultivation.
definitely.
Thanks for that pruning. Thanks for that.
Just a disclaimer: every time we've
Yes.
said how great they are, that's what we mean.
Great. I think that is a wonderful and delightful place for us to wrap. But we have one more thing that we need to do, guys.
Caves.
Oh,
What?
Kaves.
Oh, God.
Kaves Kholin.
Oh, excuse me.
Oh, right. The
I'm
other
not
Kholin.
gonna
Right,
lie,
sorry.
I have not been up on whatever this is, but I keep seeing people talk about it, and I should
Explain.
look it up.
He's the most important Kholin in the world, Alyx.
Apparently, that's what everybody's saying.
Well,
he
he's-
was.
Rest in peace.
I'll just read you this Coppermind article. Not really, but basically he's just some lesser lord in Kholinar, and died when he tried to seek an audience with Queen Aesidon. Didn't go super great.
Rip the dream.
Presumably, their corpses were in that pit that Shallan was tossed in.
Meeting the
Rest in-
relatives.
And Adolin said, "Yeah, I'm not gonna mourn for that."
Oh man.
So now we have great. We got that Kholin out of the way. The most important, Kappa. But you know what time it is? It's time for Who's That Cosmere Character?
Da 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 da.
That's not our jingle.
No, it's another game show. It's another
I edit
game
the jingle
show.
in post.
Who's that Cosmere character?
So you guys know the drill. Send your Who's That Cosmere Character clues to Who's That Cosmere Character at gmail.com. With 5 clues, our contestants will get a guess after each clue. So, let's begin.
Da-da-da-da.
Hit me.
Who wants to be a millionaire? Lights go down.
Cheering crowd. Yeah.
You guys can't see it, but we have a whole studio set. Don't worry, it's beautiful.
Don't worry. They're dead. The audience.
I could probably edit in some cheering.
The studio
in
audience
post.
is dead silent right now, but they're here
Yes, they are. They are very
Paying them a
dead
lot.
silent.
to be quiet.
All right.
Quietly observe.
Clue number 1. This character is about 5 feet.
Oh my god. Who did this one?
Sometimes that helps.
About 5 feet.
This one
Was it Arjun?
is from Striker Easy.
Okay. Hi, Striker.
Hello.
5
Siobhan? She talks about her height at one point.
She's from Roshar. She can't be that short.
Lift.
No. What was your guess, Alex?
Shalon.
No.
I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna go not Rosharan, except I can't think of anyone who's not from Stormlight.
Amen.
I know it's hard.
That's
There's
my
so
life.
I
many
know.
Stormlight characters.
I'm so about Stormlight Archive these days. Do I remember a single thing about anyone else? Isn't Wayne supposed to be like ridiculously short?
Go for
I absolutely don't remember, and it is not Wayne.
I'm like,
Clue 2. This character is childish.
so Lift would have been a good guess, except
Dang.
Yeah,
Wayne
except
would
it's not.
also be a good guess. PCH.
that's true. That's true. Childish, 5 foot tall.
TN.
Does it mean just
Well-
childish mean literally a child? That's the question.
It is not Tien, but that is a very amusing guess.
5 feet tall, childish.
Brandon does not write that many childish characters, I'm realizing.
I'm lost in thought. I've been staring at my wall for like 10
Same.
seconds. I think I'm gonna pass.
All right.
Dumb Taravangian.
Dumb
With his legs chopped off, so he's shorter.
He's not that
I don't know how tall
tall.
Taravangian is. I have no idea.
He's
Yeah.
old. He's
not like
stooped
Brandon's like,
over. Come on.
And then Taravangian walked over. He was a solid 5'10". It's not in his front.
You know what? But I think everyone in Roshar is supposed to be taller, so
Yeah.
that's why the short
Yeah.
character, because like
Oh, I see.
they're low gravity. So I've just been ruling out.
Well, this clue will thoroughly confuse you.
It's
okay.
not dumb Taravangian then?
It's not. No, it's not dumb Taravangian. I didn't think I needed to respond with that, but no, it is not dumb Taravangian.
Yeah,
Clue 3. This character interacts with aluminum.
aluminum. Okay, Mistborn. Well, no, that's not,
Not
necessarily
necessarily.
true. Not necessarily true.
Not anymore.
Interacts. What a
You know, I'm just not going to adjust what Striker
you are
did-
so-
wrote this question.
you're
I'm going
being
to say
tricked.
Jushu.
Did they No, it is not Jushu.
Shalon had an
She's thinking of the
aluminum
necklace.
necklace that she gave for his gambling debts.
Uh-huh.
So that's a
Okay.
no.
It is not Jushu, no.
You know what? I honestly do not remember that much about Mistborn. So
That's unfortunate.
I know it's really cutting me
If
off. at
only
the
you
seams
edited
here.
more Coppermind articles.
You know,
Spook.
even if I did, it would be Stormlight articles.
Well,
So-
you could edit other things.
Well, now it's
Just
only
so
now.
you guys know, if you're playing along at home, if you want to be better at Who's That Cosmere character than people on this show, edit more Coppermind articles. Easy.
I'm gonna guess Spook. I don't really like it, but
No, it's not Spook. Are you guys ready for clue 4?
Yeah, I'm passing.
This character is from Nalthis.
Nalthis. Are you kidding me?
No, I am not kidding you. This character is from Nalthis.
I hate
Jewel.
everything about this question.
Truth call.
Jewel.
Truth call.
That's really funny.
It's not
Jewel?
Truth call, by the way.
oh dang.
Is that your guess?
That
Jewel
was
is my guess.
Shannon's guess.
Shannon's
Oh.
guess.
It is not Jewel.
Okay.
I am not aware of Jewel interacting with aluminum.
I'm thinking about their team. The evil team.
The evil
think of,
team.
like-
Yes,
See,
that's what they are.
My thought process is I don't remember any significant aluminum in Warbreaker,
Yep.
but I also don't think
That's
we
unfortunate.
have significant Nalthian world hoppers who've interacted with aluminum in our
I'm
childhood.
trying to think about like who was involved in like making
gonna-
the sword. The sword.
Siri.
No.
I'm thinking about who was making the swords way back a zillion years ago.
I
But
mean,
A
I've-
zillion years ago.
Yeah.
How about...
Oh,
yes, Joff?
I know my next guess.
Clue 5. This character was created.
Nightblood.
Nightblood.
Yeah, it's Nightblood.
Oh.
Joshua gets
That's
it.
really good.
He's about 5 feet long. Hey. Not Note, the clue was this character is about 5 feet. Not tall.
That was a
But
good.
I
So
bet if you
tricky.
said let
That
Nightblood up
is
and does
tricky.
interact with aluminum.
I had the right idea about like involved in the sword making.
Yeah, that's
Yep,
true.
yep.
That is
That
true.
was good.
That is true.
Yep.
I'm sitting here thinking, who's a 5 foot tall childish character that interacts with Nightblood?
The answer, Nightblood. Nightblood, a character. All right, this next one is from Kholin. Clue number 1 is this character is a human.
Thanks. That's super.
I hear that clue and I think of that one time that somebody submitted Human the Kholins as.
Is that your guess?
No, it's not.
I'll guess it. Is it
no,
human?
it's not human the Colossus.
I will break my Roshar mold and go Sean Alariel. Just to pick a random minor character.
Why not?
Oh, this one's actually even more funny just for you, Alex.
Raoden.
What?
Shannon, who's
I
Shannon?
love being super vague to you in particular.
Ellen's fiance that Vin kills in the first book.
I
Turns
do
out-
not
Sorry,
remember
what was
that.
your guess, Joshua?
Raoden.
It is not Raoden. All right. Clue 2. This character is religious.
Say that.
No.
He's not religious anymore.
Is it Kelsier?
Would you care?
You said it was funny for me. I was
Oh,
That
don't
would
take
be-
that.
I-
Don't
that
take
would
my.
listen.
Don't take that too seriously.
Taking everything I
Alex.
can get.
The irony.
Don't take that too seriously. You'll be very disappointed about my vague clue in that case.
Dig it,
to you,
Kelsier.
Alex.
The most ironic.
Shalon.
No.
Okay.
Clue 3. This character's significant other passed away.
Okay, hold up. Human, religious, significant other passed away. That's what we got, right?
Correct.
We're on clue 3.
That's what we got.
Is
Correct.
it wax?
It is not Wax. That's a good guess. Kelsier.
Navani.
Navani?
Yeah.
Is that your guess?
Yeah.
No, it is not Navani.
I'm gonna do Lindavar.
No. Those are all wonderful guesses. But clue 4, this character is a spy.
I got it.
Then say it.
Yes,
No,
Alex?
no, wait, I don't. Frick.
Okay.
I was gonna go
Huh?
Capsule, but Shalon didn't pass away. He passed away. Never mind. I don't guess Capsule.
Listen,
The significant
I'm
other
at-
passed away with myself. I'm my own significant other.
a spy?
Man, I thought I had it there for a sec.
A spy who's religious.
Good thing you thought about it and didn't waste your guess.
Good.
Is it Bluefingers?
No.
Hmm.
Did their significant other pass away? I forget.
I don't know. I don't remember enough. I don't remember
remember.
enough about.
I just kind of
Warbreaker.
assume lots of Pankal died. It's
I
probably
just
a
don't
safe
remember enough about Warbreaker either. A spy.
What was the
Spy?
second clue? I'm
Yeah.
losing track
bet.
of
This
these.
character is religious.
I don't think he really fits the bill, but I guess I'm gonna say Felt.
No,
The World Hopper.
Mm.
I don't think we know anything about Felt being
He
having
was a
significant
spy.
other.
I know.
We have known nothing
No, he
about
could have
this.
passing comment.
Yes, Shannon?
I have
She's
to
already got
save
it.
my guess. I have
Yeah.
to save my
Oh,
guess for
okay.
next time, but I'm going to shout
Okay,
it.
that's okay. All right, Joshua.
Was gonna pass, but now
No, just keep going. Just pass. It's all good.
I never want to pass. It feels like I'm wasting a turn.
I'm so like.
Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's real hard.
spy that lost a significant other.
Can I
And
guess
religious. And is human.
as before you say the next clue? But we're in the next round.
I'll allow it this time.
Okay.
If Joshua is passing,
Are you going to pass?
Yeah, I'll pass.
Okay.
you
Okay,
get a
I-
bonus guess.
Okay.
Shannon.
No, this is my preemptive guess. I don't get any more.
Okay.
Is it Diloff?
It is Diloff.
Yeah.
Good job.
Well done.
Clue 5 is this character is also dead.
That would actually have thrown me off, to be honest.
And Alex, why is this amusing? Because it's Celish. That's why. I didn't want you to think that was too serious of a clue, but it is, in retrospect, it is funny just for you.
I've read Elantris twice. I didn't love it either time, and I don't
That's an
remember
understatement.
anything from it. So it's like, do I
I was
really
just
want to
sort
go
of
back
like,
a third time? to
Diloff's
not
like
enjoy
one
it?
thing that's actually kind of memorable in that book.
It was like
Grafton's
the
good.
dead wife that, like, all of a sudden,
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
started everything for him.
Yep,
yeah.
exactly.
That's
So
right.
that's significant other passing away, very important. So that's
She,
that's
he
really
has,
quite
he
a
has to kill
specific
her
clue.
to put her out of her misery. He sets her on fire. It's really awful.
What the
her
heck?
screams haunt him.
That's another
forever.
great Alex face that
It's
no
why-
one will ever see.
It's why he's like so unstable and like so
Yeah.
like freaking like unbalanced is because
Yeah.
like he's like haunted by like he had to kill his wife and it was really awful.
I don't remember anything of Elantris. Apparently,
It's another
Is your
wife that
knowledge
was
of
killed.
Elantris-
zombies in a city and some girl with blonde
Zombies
hair.
in a city and Hrathen's cool. Is that the extent of your Elantris knowledge, Alex?
This is another wife killed by fire? Is that what we're covering?
Oh!
Another dead wife killed by the husband. right?
Well, technically,
Significant
it
other.
was that the Elantrian really screwed up the healing.
This was a mercy
saying.
killing.
It was a mercy killing.
And it was really
Said
dumb.
evil Dalinar. No.
Yeah, that's what Sadius said.
Mercy killing.
Woof.
Yeah, no, but it wasn't. It was the Elantrian's fault. But I guess add that to another
Well, that's what
dead
Deloff
wife.
thought. Deloff was like, it's the Elantrian's fault, so I'm going to kill
Well, I
all
mean,
of-
it's easy to screw up complicated aeons, okay? That's not,
All right, maybe I'll read Elantris one of these days again.
the new one, the new version. a lot
Splintercast
better.
rereads Elantris.
It's a lot. The extended is a lot better. I didn't get lost at the very ending
The
like I
prose
did the
is
first
better
time.
in the anniversary edition.
Like the first time without like the not anniversary, I got lost. Like there were points in like the ending where I was just sort of like, how did we
really?
get here again? And it was like I was just sort of like, okay, I guess we're here now. And it was just like all brain fog. And I'm like, what happened? I don't know.
Well, good thing it wasn't the original ending where it's like, and now I have a secret identity too. Like there were like 2 extra ones in the original that were called down. No, seriously, there was
Wow.
like,
I believe
I'm
you.
this secret spy that you forgot about and don't care about. Wow, crazy, Brandon.
I believe you. Yeah.
Yeah, I forget. I think there was like 1 or 2, but Brandon really liked doing secret identities and stuff in that book.
It's all about those plot twists.
Yeah, it's just you can twist it a little too much. That was like,
Raoden
yes.
has one. Deloff has one. Yeah. Raoden has a couple.
Do you guys remember the old version of the Elantris ending where it turned out that Hrathen was actually a doula? Do you not remember that part of the deleted scene where Hrathen's like, and I have a secret identity too?
No, I don't. I really
is
don't.
doula a people group, or are we talking about like the midwife sort of?
Oh my god, Alex, you need to read
Doula.
Elantris
I need
again.
to read this book.
So the doula
I gave
Were-
birth to Raiden.
Are those the Kholin?
and my secret
people?
identity, I'm actually female. And
Kolo?
I gave birth
Yeah.
to
Okay,
Raiden
I think
and
so.
married King Iadon.
Okay. Real quick, do you guys want to hear a joke about Raoden?
Yeah. Oh, all
Yes.
of this is going on
That's
record.
the
So we're
spirit.
padding to make this 2 episodes, okay? So yeah, on record. Let's do this.
She already did.
Oh, sorry. Say it again for me. Sorry. I
We said
totally
yes.
missed it.
She said, "Do you want to hear a joke?" And we said yes.
That's the spirit.
Wow.
Oh, dang it, Alex. I think that didn't
I stole
didn't
that from
I tell-
Tumblr. I didn't come up with it.
No. I'm going to pretend you saw it from me because there was a time a bit ago where I was like, do you want to hear a ghost story? I think we did this. I forget if we did this on the podcast and someone was like, no, I don't want to hear a ghost story. I'm like, just say yes. And then someone said yes. And I'm like, that's the spirit.
Wow.
I don't think this was me. I don't think I was around for this one.
No, I don't think it was you, but I'm going to
All right.
pretend you stole from me anyway. And
Okay.
that I definitely didn't get my version of the joke from the internet. Let's just pretend that that's true, okay?
We all are plagiarists.
Speaking of things on the internet, guys, 17shard.com. Get all your news, discussion, memes, theories, discussion, funds. I think I listed discussion twice. Whatever, doesn't matter.
Lots of discussion.
So much discussion.
Discussion squared.
D squared, man. Man. And, of course, fun and games on 17shard.com and Discord. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, SoundCloud, YouTube. Did I miss one? I don't know. Follow us on iTunes. Leave us a review on iTunes. Bleh. Words are hard. We are calling it on this one, and we will see you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Caw.